In this video, I'll help you unlock the math skill GST. This is the skill that separates guessing from real understanding. I'm going to show you two simple keys, which are the exact pieces of information you need to make this skill feel easy to learn. I've refined these keys over 10 years of teaching, and they're the ways of thinking I wish I learned earlier. In this section, you will learn what is GST and why we need to learn this skill. Before we talk about tax, we need to understand why tax exists in the first place. Tax is how our society functions. It pays for things we all use but don't directly pay for. What are examples of where the government uses tax money in our everyday society? Roads, hospitals, schools, parks, and many others. When governments collect tax, they use that money to fund these services. One common type of tax in Australia is Goods and Services Tax, GST. GST is 10% of the original price of most goods and services. In Australia, this tax is usually already included in the price you see. So if tax is already calculated for us, why do we even need to learn this skill? There are a few situations where understanding GST really matters. First, not every country includes tax in the price. For example, in the United States, you might see a TV advertised for $722. But when you get to the register, the receipt suddenly shows plus sales tax, which means the final price is higher than the price tag. If you don't know how to quickly calculate the tax, the final cost can be a surprise. Second, not everything includes GST. Some items are tax-free, depending on the situation or the type of business. And third, you may have heard of duty-free stores at airports. These stores remove the tax completely, because if you're traveling internationally, you may not be required to pay that country's tax. And to solve any GST problem, we need one key math skill: percentages. In the next section, let's learn how to solve any GST problem. In this section, you will learn the exact pieces that make up each question and the method that works for every question. Now that we understand why GST exists, we need to understand how every GST question is built. And the good news is, every GST problem is made up from the same three pieces. First, there is the original price. This is the price of the item before tax is added. In percentage terms, that price is always 100%. Next, the government collects 10% GST of the original price. And when we add those together, 100% plus 10%, we get the total selling price, which is 110%. So every GST question is built from these three percentages: 100%, which is the original price, 10% the GST, and 110% the total selling price. But here's where students often get stuck. In a question, you are never given all three pieces. You might be given only one: the selling price, the GST amount, or the original price. And your job is to work backwards to find the missing value. So the real question becomes, what method works every single time? This is where we use a variation of the unitary method. But instead of finding 1%, we go straight to 10%, because GST is already 10%. Once we know 10%, everything else becomes simple. If we want the original price, 100%, we multiply 10% by 10. If we want the selling price, 110%, what do we multiply 10% by to get 110? We multiply 10% by 11. So every GST question follows the same three steps. Step 1, identify what you are given, write down the value and its percentage. Step 2, find 10%. In some questions, we are given this. Therefore, you go straight to step 3. If you aren't given the 10%, we can find it by dividing both sides by the number of tens in the percentage. Step 3, find what you need. Multiply 10% by the number of 10s required. Let's see this method in action. The selling price is 2,200, which represents 110%. Step 1, write down 110% equals 2,200. Step 2, find 10%. Since 110% is 11 tens, we divide both sides by 11, giving us 10% equals $200. Step 3, find the original price. 100% is 10 tens, so we multiply both sides by 10. Therefore, the original price is $2,000. And that gives us the price before GST was added. You now know all the key information on this concept. However, can you solve all exam style questions? Watch this next video to master questions easily.